Superflyers, hey, what's up? It's John coming at you with a Google Chrome Inspect Element tool. Firefox has a similar tool. I'm not sure about Explorer, but I use this thing all the time when developing sites, when making child themes. Very valuable. And if you know CSS, it's invaluable. So first, let me show you how to work it. So when you have your web page pulled up here in Chrome, you find the element you want to expect, like maybe this VUR. I want to know what font that is. Is it an image? Is it font? Is it a font? I can just right click it in Google Chrome and choose Inspect, and that will launch the Developer Tools Inspect Element piece. Now, by default, yours might come up here on the side of your browser window, which you can see it pushes my content over to more of a mobile layout. So I usually have it in two modes. I usually have it at along the bottom. That way it keeps my width right. Or most times I have it separate, because if you have a large monitor, then you could have it separate and you can have it side by side. And the other thing I like to do right away is I like to go to the settings and turn on the dark mode. A little easier on the eyes. Okay, so now that we have that loaded, there's a few different tabs to notice up here. First off is the Elements tab. This is where I spend most of my time. And then probably next to that is the Network tab. Now the Network tab, I'm going to go ahead and reload the page. One nice thing is when you have Inspect Element open and you click and hold on the reload button, you can have like empty cache and hard reload. And if you have the network open, it actually times out all your resources that are loading. It gives you a load time here at the bottom. And then let me go ahead and I'm actually going to expand this. So it gives you the load time here at the bottom. And then I can actually go up here to size and I can look and see, okay, this image right here, this residential JPEG image is 471K. That's pretty good. But there's been some sites where I'll go to it and the background video will be like 30 megs. That's not acceptable. You'll want to optimize that. Or a background image might be 3 megabytes. That's unacceptable. You want to optimize that image. And so this is a great, if you're having a slow site, this is a great place to check and see what's going on there. So I use the Network tab for that. But if you launch it and it's empty, be aware that you have to turn the Network tab first and then go and hard reload your page. Because you'll see if I just normal reload it, some of the items will come in from memory there. You'll see it's loading all of these images from disk cache. And so it's not giving me an accurate representation of a new visitor, someone that's never been to your site. So you'll want to go and empty cache and hard reload, which you get that option again if you have this open with that tab selected. Now you can see what's going on. Sometimes things never load. Maybe you had something wrong in the maybe some image is in the wrong spot, or who knows what, or you're pulling in a resource that's no longer available. That'll show up here too, usually in red, but this page looks like it loaded everything just fine. So that is probably the second area I'm in the most. I haven't really done these other ones over here. Sources, I've gone in here a couple times, but mostly I'm in the Elements area, Network, and then Console. Console can give you some errors if you're having errors on your page. For example, here's a site that I recently converted to HTTPS, added an SSL, and when I did that, it was coming up with some errors in the console, like here, mixed content type. Looks like I'm loading in this crowd.jpg unsecured. There's no S there. So I need to find this crowd and fix it. So I can right click and I can open that image in a new tab, and I can be like, oh, I see that image is right here, this guy. Then I can go back and say, okay, that's underneath the, there's the main header, 3 columns, and then the let's make your event So there's a call to action, probably right here. Sure enough, and there it is, missing the S. I can add the S. I can save it. I can update. And now when I reload this page, I'm not going to get that error anymore because I fixed it. So that's one way I use the error piece. All right, we'll come back here. Okay, there's also a way that you can, when this is open, you can grab this, you can click on it, and then you can roam around and try to select an element with it. And you see it's doing it there. I like just right-clicking on the element, and then I can go over here and kind of move around and see what's going on. So let's go back to our original thing here. This view R, is it an image? Is it text? Let's see. So I can look, and I see it's, if you know HTML, definitely a must for this tutorial. I can see that there's this paragraph text there, and if I open that up, there we go, I can see view R. So if I click on this paragraph text, it's not showing me what, oh, there it is. It's going up here. Yeah, and showing me that the font family is rock salt, 22 pixels, letter spacing, whatnot. And I can actually go up here and I can change these values to see where I want, if 6 is right or not, if the font size, do I want that to be larger or smaller? And then I could remember these values and use them in the Divi Builder, or I can write some custom CSS. So that's one thing that I use it a lot for. You can also, let me go ahead and refresh that, get my letter spacing back. Let me go ahead and right click on that again, inspect. Okay, there's the paragraph tag, but just from experience, this text is in a text module, and that's what this ET, Elegant Themes, PB Text, Page Builder Text module. So you can see up here we got our, this code, when it says index like that, most of the time it means that the page builder, Divi Builder is setting it. Sometimes you'll see style.css from the main style sheet. And sometimes you'll see something from like a child theme style sheet. I'll go through some of those examples too. Let's actually try that right now. So let's click on this button here. Okay, so it looks like we have a play button image there that says play video in it. And then around that we have this A tag, and it has some padding on it that I can kind of mess around with that. So I see whoever made this theme, they did some padding work there. And then there's this border radius 999 pixels, which is basically a circle. Without it, it becomes a square. You know, I could go in here and take, maybe make it 9 or 29, 39. But 99 or 999, that's all good. We see this background color option, and it gives us the RGB with the last item there being the opacity. I could go in here and edit these, or I could just click on this color icon, and now I can mix in the opacity as much or as little as I want. Maybe instead of that yellow, maybe I want it to be like a green color. Play this video, or maybe black. Maybe I just want it black, and I want this down here. So this is being determined in the style sheet. I can actually right click and open this in a new tab and go to line 265. You know, I could copy this and put it in a text editor and go to that line and find it and change it. Or let me see. I think I can just click on it to. Yeah, you can just click on it and it shows you right there. You can change it here. It won't save it. There are some plugins you can add that will make it to save it, but I just like to go to that line in my text editor and make the changes there. That's one of the cases for the sources panel there. So that's cool. So I change this on that, but when I hover it, it turns green and gets bigger. Maybe I want it to turn that orange color on hover. So, but how do I do that? I'm on it right here. I see the black color we gave it. How can I see when I hover it, it changes color, but I don't see that reflected over here. What you can do is you can simulate hovering. So I know that this A tag is a link, and if I can hover that, I'll see the green color. So what you can do is with your link highlighted here, and you see the values, you can go up to this :hov thing, and you can press that, and now you can press this hover to simulate hovering over it. And you'll see when I turn that on, I get new rules. The padding is bigger now, which is why it's growing in size there. And then it's also changing my background color from the black faded color to the green. So I could change this to and say, hey, maybe we want that orange color back. I mean, I could type it. You can type it in if you want, or we want it orange and we want it to be all the way up here. Let's go ahead and make it the orange color like so. Sure, and 100% opacity. So now when I turn this off and I come over here and I hover, I have my new values. I can go grab this now. I can go grab this hover value and find that in my CSS file and replace it. Or I could copy this. I could copy this guy and paste this rule in the Divi theme options, and it should overwrite the style sheet. So that's kind of how to use this hover class here. That's something a lot of people is nice to know about. With forms, let me see here. Let me go down and find a form. So like this form, when I click on it, the outline gets darker. So if I inspect this form field, there it is, and here's I got my border, which is that soft color there. And you'll see if I go to the hover, it doesn't change my border color. That's because hovering it doesn't do it when I click on it. And when you click on a form field, it's called focus, or it might be active actually. No, it's focus. So I can simulate the focus, and that turns my darker border color on there. And then I could say, well, I want it to be, I can pick the color here. I want it to be that orange color. So now on focus, I could go and make it orange instead. And I could copy this rule and either replace that in my CSS, or I could make a new rule in the Divi theme options for that CSS. Yeah, and so that's the hover, the extra classes here. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick and come back. Okay, great, I'm back. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and log in real quick to this site. I'm going to pause this, log in, and go to the theme options here. Okay, so I've logged in, and I'm down here in the custom CSS area. So we could add the custom CSS. This is where I would recommend adding it. So we have our custom CSS here that says, on focus, now change this border color to this yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and just highlight from that bottom opening or closing curly bracket to the rule here. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, Command C, go to my theme options. Well, usually I would paste it in a, like for example, I use brackets. Normally I would make Normally I would make a new file, and I would save it as like custom CSS, and we'll just put this on the desktop for now. And then I would save it in here, and this is where I would edit it or whatnot, and save this on my machine if I have a backup of it. And then I would go in and paste it in here. So we'll go ahead and save these changes. So now when I refresh, And now when I click in there, it's now that yellow color. And there'll be some different code for the text area. We'd have to add text area to that. But that's now yellow now. And you could do other things. You could make the whole background yellow and the text white or something like that. And if I go into these theme options and I get rid of this, it's going to be back to how it was. So some things like the button colors, you just want to change that in Divi. But things like that, you need some little CSS to change. And that's where this inspect element comes in handy. Let me see if I can find a couple other spots where I would use that a lot. A good example in this theme is the lines here before and after this let's get started, what people say. So I'm going to go ahead and click on what people say. And I see there's a paragraph there. I'm going to open that up. And here's the what people say text, but I don't see the lines. But if I look at this before and after, you'll see that after it's highlighting these two lines. And before it's highlighting those two lines. And you see when I click on them, it's saying, hey, brown lines, class brown lines, paragraph before. So here's my module, and I have a class of brown lines in there, which is on my page. And then it's saying, so go in there, go into the paragraph tag, and use the before pseudo class for the paragraph. Add in fake content or no content, but have it just be this certain width, and you'll see I can make that longer or shorter, but 116 seems right. If I go to 16, you'll see it gets way short. And let the height be 4 pixels. I think that was the height between there. And then there's a border top and a border bottom. And there are the colors for each. And then here's the spacing from the right. And then the margin on the bottom there. So if I wanted to go in and change that, let's say I wanted to go in and let me copy this code here. Actually, let's say I wanted to go in and make a new one called blue lines that has this color. I'm going to go ahead and copy that color, put it down here. There we go. I want to go ahead and copy all this, go into my code here, we'll get rid of that one. And instead of blue lines, we'll call it brown lines, we'll call it blue lines. P before, and I bet the after has something similar. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy all this right here and just paste it in, and just grab my color and just paste that right here. And call this one blue lines. Lowercase I. After. Go ahead and copy this and paste it in here. Save it. And you'll notice when I refresh the page, nothing's going to happen because I called them blue lines P. So if I go into the page here, and I go down to that section, which is the what people say, and here's that module, and there's that brown line. If I change this to blue lines now, now we have blue lines there. I could go in and change the text to blue, and then that's that. I'm going to go ahead and change them back to brown lines. Oh, let me go ahead. That was my take a break app there. Brown lines, save that. And then I can also go in and get rid of all this. And now we'll just have There we go. Another cool thing you'll notice is when I bring this page down, those lines disappear. And so why is that happening? Why is it doing that? So what you can do is you can inspect them, and then you can see that they're happening up here. And you'll see as I drag this window up here on the right, I get the width. And at 980 is where Divi breaks to mobile. So you'll see at 980, those lines move, and you'll see the code changed from having border top whatever. You'll see this new code that says max width 980. So at 980 and below, it's saying no border, no bottom. I could turn this off, and they'll come back on. But the issue was down on tablet, it was getting too messy. So I turned them off for those, which brought it back to like that, and then they get turned on desktop. So that's another cool thing. Also built in, and I'll do some other stuff here too, but first I wanted to get to the responsive design device thing. So if I click this, I have this drop down menu where I can have a responsive mode that I can drag in and out right here. I can also drag it up and down. Sometimes I use that mode, but other times I'll jump straight to the iPad mode and put it at 100%, and so I can see what the site looks like on iPad. And then I'll also check on iPhone 5, because under iPhone 5 is 320 wide. iPhone 4 is also 320 wide, but iPhone 6 is 375 wide. So I usually make sure to go down to iPhone 5 to look at the site. And then I can just use, I can say, hey, that font looks smaller. That font there best work on it looks like I can go down, I can go down a bit, or I can leave it where it's at. Same thing with this text here. And sometimes you gotta hunt for the value. Like I'm looking for font size here. So font weight, font size 26. There it is. And that's being set in the builder. Maybe I like 24 on mobile instead of 26, or maybe I like 30 or 31. But here you can kind of find the value and change them. If you just want to know really quick what the values are, you can go to this computed, and it'll just tell you in alphabetical order, hey, font size is 26. Unfortunately, you can't click here and change it. You can change them in the styles area. Like I can click there and change it. But sometimes I just want to know, like someone asked me, if someone asked me, what font is that right there? Well, I would inspect it. And fortunately it says right there, but I could go to computed and just go down to font family and say, oh, it's Oswald. So sometimes I use that computed just to quickly see what the CSS is. So this responsive design piece is very, very handy. Especially for a large monitor. I feel like this is kind of most people's screen size, what do they have? And then, or this size here. Because on a big monitor, it's easy to design really wide and really tall. And then again, handy for iPad and iPhone. And then turn it off, you just click this again, and it goes back to your normal view. Okay, let me look real quick and see what else. For example, this last button here is getting highlighted, and if you want to know how that's happening, you can just right-click that, inspect, and it's giving us the A link there, and then there's LIs on top of that, and you'll see each LI has all these classes. So you can kind of look through and see what makes this one different. And so if I select this one, over here I can't really tell anything. If I open it and click on the menu there, then I start seeing things like top menu li.free estimate, border 2 pixels, and some padding. And so that's what's kind of help making that happen. Well, li.freeEstimate, that means the li has a class of free estimate. If I look up here on the li, class equals, and there's the free estimate, and then there's the menu item. Well, all of them have menu item, a number, all of them have menu item type, things like that. But only this one has free estimate. So if I go up to this one and double click, I can actually add in the free estimate class on that one, and now it's going to have that too. Now when I refresh the page, that's going to be gone, but it'll show you what that would look like if you added that class to that button. We just have it added to this one, and we have that added in the menus area here. We have the free estimate, and then we have the top here. We have the CSS class option turned on, and there's that free estimate right there. The contact page doesn't have that. There's no class right there. So this free estimate, that's that link right. That's that class right there. So it's cool. It's mostly used to find special things like that. I'm going to move on here and go to just look around some other Divi default sites here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this here. Okay, so let me go ahead and scroll through this site. So here we have some blurbs, and sometimes it's nice to just inspect those. And you could mess around this color, say, hey, I wonder if this one was blue, what would that look like? Or white, whoops. Blue, yeah, there we go. And you can come out here and see what that would look like. Sometimes it's good just to see it out here. So on these, if I wanted to mess around with the spacing of this, I could inspect this. But again, I need to be able to hover it to see that text that comes up. So when I inspect it, I highlight this image. Well, if I hover on that image, that's not what's triggering the text. So sometimes what you have to do is you have to grab that image again and maybe go up a level, and then try hovering on that, and that seemed to work. Of course, it's changing on me. Let me go ahead and inspect that. Go up a step, hover, and then I could go in and mess around with that. That's how you would target something like that. So sometimes you have to go up a step, up a level to get the hover to work. Let's see if I can find something else on this page. Oh no, that's pretty good. We'll do one more page here. This interior page. So yeah, this part cool. I remember when I first saw this page and I saw this happen, and I was like, that is so cool. How did they do that? Well, now we can inspect it and know exactly how they did it. Okay, so they have this image here. I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab. So this is a background image that they're using, and so it looks like that image starts up around there, and then above that they have 3 columns, and each column probably has a different background color, I'm guessing. Or maybe they all. Alright, let's see here. Div class. Computed. Background color. Yep, okay, so let me go back to styles. So this is like real life here. Oh, there it is, background color. And that background color is exactly the color of the, like if I change that, you know, they had it exactly exactly the same as the image, because the image at the top blends into solid colors right at the top. So then they can sample those colors and make their backgrounds of the columns those colors. Because I could go in here and say, well, I want that to be this hideous blue, and then this one's going to be that color, and then this one is going to be green, and that looks terrible. But you can see that's how they did it. So if I refresh this and I turn on the inspect element, or the responsive design mode, and I'm going to go to responsive mode here, pull this out, so you can see, let me go ahead and make this taller. You can see on desktop it works, but remember, you can watch this first play at 980 is where Divi stacks things for mobile. So 980 right there. So it's, well, oops, 980 right there. Perfect. It stacks them. And so then you can see that it doesn't matter, like the effect is over, it's not doing it anymore, but it's fine because now it's just a new section there where when it's all wide above 980, you get that effect that where it's together. So that's cool, how to figure out how to do that. And that would be the same probably here with this chair image. Yeah, it's just an image that they have the background matching the solid color of the section that they probably have. Yep, there's the background color. So if I change that, then you can see what they did for that image right there. The same thing's going to be on this image. Oh, there we go. Inspect that. And go back up to the section. There's the section. And we'll make yeah, that's fine. You'll also see though on this image module. No, actually that's fine, yep. But you can see how they just matched the colors. Another cool thing on this page would be to look at the network and hard reload this page and see how long it takes and see what's up with that. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this up now and see. They probably have a CD in on this, so it loads really fast. Sizes. Yeah, they're really good on the image sizes. They compressed them quite a bit. That's great. We'll go back to the elements. So yeah, I guess the last thing I'll show you is you can add your own CSS right here just to see what something would do. So if I right click on this handmade furniture and I inspect it, I get an H4 here, and I think this will, yeah, just change that one, which is great. Sometimes it doesn't do that, like you see this ETB verb H4 padding bottom 5, that's going to do all of them, all three, because it's not super specific. Or this H4 right here, if I change that font, it's going to change them all. If I just want to mess around on this H4 though, what I could do up here where it says element style, I can click right there and I can start adding in like maybe letter spacing 3 pixels, and I could kind of mess around with that and see, and just it's only going to affect that one. A better example might be maybe down here where I see this latest project. Okay, let me inspect that. And I'm not sure what I want to do with it. I want to target the A right here. If I go up here and start adding stuff like background, red, it's going to do it to all my links. I don't want that. I just want to mess around with this one link to see what's up. So then I can go to the element style It looks like it has italic on there. I can add some new things and say, okay, what if we gave this thing a background color of white and padding like 20 pixels all around, and maybe border radius of 20 of 99. And then I can come down here and it's starting to make like a button. Oh, it looks like we need a little bit of margin at the top, margin top, maybe 15 pixels, and I don't have to do a display inline block on that. Now my margin top's too far. I can bump it down to maybe like, that looks pretty good. And the padding, the top and bottom is good, but it needs more on the right and the left, maybe like that. And so you can start to see maybe it needs a drop shadow, box shadow, drop shadow, box shadow, and we'll say RGBA and 0, 0 black, and just a little bit of it showing. Oh, first I gotta say I want 0, 0, and 50 pixels on that. There we go. And I can click off it, and now I can go in here and mess around with the opacity of that, maybe make it super subtle. And then I can copy all this code and assign a class to this link, and then use my class in CSS to assign that. So that's, and I can even mess with hover style for this. Hover style. I could add a new I can add a new style right there. This one hover, or in CSS actually, I would go in and add the hover styles for that. Maybe in the hover style, I change my background color to some kind of, whatever, and then like that color or something like that, and the color of the text becomes white or something. But this is kind of a fun area where you can kind of play around, you can turn things on or off, and if you refresh the page, it's all gone back to how you had it. So it's not permanent, people can't see it, but you can just kind of mess around with it. So yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that would be kind of tricky to do. I think that's gonna be it for this tutorial, and yeah, that's gonna be it. My cat just jumped in my lap, and I think she's saying, "Hey, enough tutorial." So I'm gonna leave it here, but leave comments in the Facebook group about questions on this tutorial, and I'd be glad to clarify some things. There's a lot to be discovered in here, but you have to know HTML and have a good grasp on CSS. Like, for example, just knowing, like, if I hover this, that the green bar underneath there is padding, is valuable, versus like the orange there being the margin. So you see how that margin there, if I go up to and say 200 pixels, there we go. Now that orange area is much bigger because it's the margin. So just knowing that orange is margin and green is padding will go a long way when you're like, why is this not spacing right? And you can say, oh, it's got some padding on there. I need to take that off with CSS. And this is where you find out how much padding that is. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Definitely enjoyed making it. And yeah, hit me up with any questions and we can go a little further into this. So, all right, stay fly, y'all.